This is the Allied Esports Campus Connect, where we break down how colleges are turning passion for gaming into real careers. Every episode, we highlight a school that's building real pipelines, broadcast, production, STEM, player development, the whole ecosystem. Today, we sit down with Dr. John Price to talk about how his team and student leaders rebuilt the community, turned the arena into a hub for competition and summer camps, and what it means to lay the foundation for the next era of collegiate esports at Ohio State. Let's jump in. Today, we're featuring the Ohio State University Esports. You already know we got competitive teams, a busy Lincoln Tower Arena, if I'm not mistaken, and a growing student-led production pipeline led by Dr. John Price. How you feeling today, man? Welcome in.
I'm glad to be here. I'm excited to talk about this. It's one of the great things about being here at Ohio State is we have so many exciting projects going on and so many hardworking students. So always happy to talk about the program.
When you first arrived, what was the initial mandate for moving the program forward?
In more ways than one, it was kind of, to put it bluntly, putting Humpty Dumpty back together again. So the program got founded right before COVID, and then there was a massive changeover, and that's when they brought me in. It's like we had this great start. We built this amazing facility. I'm sure we'll talk about it more as we get going. And when I got on campus, it was kind of like, okay, we're coming out of finally the pandemic. We're trying to really reinvigorate this, and it was get things back to where they were before the pandemic so we could kind of really go where it is. And so suffice to say, since then, we really have put everything back together and are really knocking on the door of the larger plan that was put in place back in 2019 when they launched the program here. So it's been quite the ride, but complicated in more ways than I care to admit.
What were some of the initial pillars you stood up when starting the program?
Yeah, no, the big pillar for me, and it always has been, is the community. And when I got there, but as I was taking over, there was a big handoff happening. Some of the student leaders had really done amazing things, were just leaving and kind of giving me the baton, so to speak. And so the last 3 years have been all about putting together that student core again and getting them motivated and moving in the right direction. So pretty quickly, we were doing lots of tournaments we were hosting in the facility. We were working on getting sponsors for other premier teams and such, and just trying to really build that pipeline, not only into the competitive teams, but into our production and into the larger community itself, because it's not just the competitive teams. It's not even just the broadcasting that happens around it. It's the community that really does make esports. And so that was honestly goal number one when I got here.
How did your personal background influence the philosophy you took into Ohio State esports?
Yeah, no, great question. So my background in particular is in communication studies. I focused on social movements and specifically online mediums. So my background really was how many of the different communities we're talking about started. Some of my first papers were about like the World of Warcraft, as well as EVE Online and some of those areas and how communities form. And in many ways, that's drastically shaped not only who I am, but how I approach the program. I still have friends that I met in high school, let alone early days of college, that were completely online until we met in person. That shapes a lot of what we do, because I know just how impactful it can be, whether it be digitally or in person. Finding that community matters, right? And that's really informed a lot of our decisions for not only where we're putting our efforts, but different policies inside of our facility and what the larger goals of the program. I really view where we are in esports history as the start, the foundation, and we're not even close to framing the house yet that esports will build. And so for me, it's very much about creating those roots so that the larger tree, that, the collegiate as well as professional ecosystems can really flower from. And that drives a lot of what I do.
What can you tell us about your facilities? And what about the students who use those facilities?
Our facility is an amazing one. We have the largest facility in the Big Ten currently. It's roughly 4,200 square feet. We have about 75 gaming PCs throughout our area. And what I really love about it is we make it as plug and play as possible. The student walks into our facility, they just swipe their Buck ID, campus ID for those of you that aren't Buckeyes and on campus, and they're able to check out a headset for free, check out controllers, check out console games if they want to, sit down and just get playing. And that's really one of our biggest things, is trying to make it so that anyone, whether they're somebody that's in the 0.05% of the gaming population that's potentially going pro, to somebody that's only maybe played a Wii game in the past, or even not even that, maybe they just played Candy Crush or something, that they can come in and feel like there's some part of the facility for it. And that's why we not only have our larger gaming space in the sense of the PCs, but we have our console stations so they can play their, whether it be a Nintendo Switch 1 or 2, whether it be a PS5, or if you want to play an Xbox, though people don't ask for that one as much as they once did, but also board games. So like the day we're recording, Tuesday, we do a TCG night in the facility. So they're playing, I want to say, One Piece tonight in it as well. So we try to provide something for everyone. And that's one of the best parts of that. But part of that, of course, is the competitive side. And so we currently have 5 premier teams. They're officially sponsored by the department and the larger university as a whole, with jerseys, with travel, with coaching, with a student team manager, pretty much the 9 yards. The one thing we don't have is scholarships, but that's one of those things of where, hey, we talk about goals later. That's one of those goals in the future. But the 5 titles we do play are Rocket League, Valorant, League of Legends, Overwatch 2, and Super Smash Brothers. But in addition to that, there's a host of different clubs on campus. We have one of the best COD teams in the country, completely with no scholarships. They placed, I want to say, top 10 last year. Our Counter-Strike team is currently top 10 as well. We have a huge Halo community, as well as, this is probably my favorite one, we have a rhythm games club. They have their own cabinets that we are let them put into the facility so that they can come in. No, the rhythm game stuff is like, I knew it was popular, but I didn't understand. And that's one of the best things about esports, is there's always some community you have no idea about sitting around. I remember when I first got here, I had someone reach out. I was like, hey, could we have a Wizard 101 team? And I was like, that's still a thing. And it didn't become anything, but it's one of those fun elements of it, is there's always some part of the community out there. And one of the best things is being able to help give them resources, be a part of it, and make sure they have a place inside the larger campus community.
What are some of the roles that exist within the program for students to be a part of?
Great question. Yeah, so we kind of have 2 different structures. We have our one that's inside of our organization itself. So that's where we have our content managers that focus primarily on social media, developing video content, web content, taking media day pictures. We have our community team. They run different events. So I mentioned TCG night. That's something our community team dreams up. They go to those events. They also do tabling. So they're going around campus, spreading the words, handing out swag to anyone that answers fun questions, type of thing. And then we have our broadcast team, which the individuals on broadcast are some of the unsung heroes. We have 3 broadcast managers, and in addition to helping run the broadcast, they train volunteers. They are there to help out and make improvements to it. It's like, for example, one of our students last year figured out, hey, if we got this device, we're going to be able to do like replays on multiple levels. And so we were like, okay, let's get this. We got it. We worked it into the system. And it's so easy to use it. Even though I have only used it one other time before, which was about a year ago, I was able to sit down the other week, and after screwing up a couple of times, the casters were kind enough to give me a little bit of legroom. I was able to do replays just along with the students who had been doing it earlier, right? So those are some of our unsung heroes, but we also have our team managers, who are students that do everything from helping organize tryouts to some of them even coach a team. Actually, we have a prodigy in more ways than one with our Overwatch 2 team. His username is Lau. He is not only top 10 North America support, he plays in the pro-am circuit. He is coaching and playing the game with the team and running the team manager role. He's the only one I've had in any of my years of doing this, which I'm getting up to about 9 at this point, where I've allowed that to happen. But that's just because he's just an amazing student in more ways than one. And then we have our frontline workers, essentially our arena managers, who helps run the space, because we're open 7 days a week from 4 p.m. usually till midnight during the regular semester. And so we have plenty of events that are happening, and they help us run events in the summer. They help us run summer camps. And then many of them, actually, kind of going into that other tree I mentioned, are on our Buckeye Gaming Collective. So one of the big student groups on campus that does a lot of things that we can't as an organization, because we're officially part of the university. Buckeye Gaming Collective is a student group that's like a big tent for all those clubs that we can't turn into premier teams. So we talked about the Counter-Strike team, the Halo team, all of those organized inside of that as well. And so many of my staff are also on the e-board for that as well. But that's kind of the other fun thing, is where it's not just my staff and such working in the esports community and gaming community on campus. It's that community itself. And what I love is that so many of them also are on my staff. But more importantly, there's many that aren't, and that are also organizing and doing projects on their own. It's one of the best parts about it.
You spoke about the summer camp programs. What can you tell us about them? What happens at them, and how do they operate?
Oh, yeah, no, the summer camps are still a very new project. We just wrapped up year 2. We've expanded it each year, and each year the camps have filled out. So, there's a lot of people that love them. And we've actually had a few individuals reach out about traveling out of state to come here, asking for anything like, are there hotel rooms, are there dorms? One day we'll have overnight esports camps. I cannot wait for that. I used to run debate camps back in the day that would go on for 3, 4, sometimes 6 weeks. So it's really exciting to see some of those similar camps are coming here. But as for what happens, usually we specifically for 10 to 13 year olds, that's kind of our age demographic. And we do a few different things. We'll focus on a few different titles. So for example, in a regular week, we'll go through 4 titles, 1 for each day with a free day at the end of the week. But in addition to that, we'll have a lesson about advanced tactics. Many of our counselors are players or former players. So we have a former semi-pro at Fortnite that had creator codes and everything else. And it's hilarious watching him 1v30 them. And they get 1 kill and they're all ecstatic. Granted, more than half of them have died. It's just it's funny to watch. And so we'll have that, right? But the larger element of it, we do education seminars. So for example, I did one last year on hardware that goes through every part of the PC, talking about what they do, what the different elements. We had a professor on campus come in and talk about AI and engineering. We would do segments on how best to control emotions and such, and solo queue and such playing, as well as how to communicate, right? So not only are they're getting some of that specialized introduction. Many of the students haven't played some of these games. Many of them haven't played League of Legends. That's one of our titles, and that's always a treat to watch. And funny enough, they're pretty good at it usually by the end of the week. But the other thing we love to do is we also have, as the students love to call it, or campers, touch grass time. So we have an hour and a half of every day of where they're going out to our rec center, because we're part of the recreational sports department. So they're playing basketball, they're playing foursquare, they're kickball, what have you. So we provide something for parents in particular, that it's not just playing video games, but it's learning about the larger elements around that. It's getting out and doing a bit of exercise. And one of the talks, of course, that we give is also how to be a healthy gamer. So, it's kind of the whole package. And I just can't wait until we can turn that into high school camps on top of that. It's been a fun experience. That's for sure. It's very rewarding. I'll say that.
Towards the end of the year, do you have a final project for the students to display their work and accomplishments?
Yeah, no, we do a few things. Well, one week we host all kinds of events often, and that's one of the ways many of our students get hands-on experience, whether that's in the broadcast room, whether that's TOing, dealing with technical issues, or creating content. Just about a month ago, actually, we hosted about 16 universities from across Ohio for the best way to describe it was a battle for Ohio. We ran it. Some students from another local college were a big part of that as well, running a broadcast on top of that. And it was a great experience for everyone involved, just more of the one come together and talk about esports together and compete. It's always great when you get the different the different colleges in the state together. And secondly, it was a good experience in the sense of for all of my staff and the community just to practice, right? That's part of it, is they're getting a lot of that hands-on training through this. And many of the students turn the program into capstones. Like, they will do studies about the program. I remember we had a couple of different groups that kind of reached out. It's like, hey, could we do this study? Like, could we examine all the marketing going on and give you some feedback? We'll use that for a class. I've had students do internships with me that will essentially throughout the course of the semester get all their materials ready for grad school or for job searching and such as part of it. I used to also teach organizational comms, so resume writing and interviewing. Those are two things I've taught a few classes on. So there's we get a chance to do all that because esports itself is not only a combination of hard skills, but it's also a lot of soft skills and larger aspects of leadership in the sense of self-improvement, organizing, what have you. And I like to think that's something we provide all of that. It might not be in an official course yet in the sense of a capstone in that sense, but it's something where pretty much for every student that's come through here, we've been able to help them in some way in their journey in academics. So often is they have such amazing resumes, they just don't even realize it yet, right? They don't sell themselves enough. And that's what I'm here to do, is so that they understand they can, because they have done it. They just don't realize it, right? And it's just finding that verbiage, putting that in, helping them learn how to do that in a call or in a cover letter. So that's one of the biggest parts of being an educator in college, is making people that know what they're doing come out of their shell so they can shine just like everybody else.
What can you tell us about your schedule within the competitive gaming space?
It's been a busy one, simply put. This is probably one of our busiest years we've had since I started, not only in the sense of just the amount of competition some of our teams are competing in, but also just in the quality. The PEC in particular this year has been a huge step up from last year. It was competitive last year, no question. And we were in the middle of the pack for most of the year in more ways than one. But this year we have some huge additions that happened in Minnesota, Baylor, Utah, all have stellar teams. Baylor's Rocket League team in particular is just beating the pants off everybody else right now. But we're really thankful we have a Overwatch Valorant team. They're at the top of the standings. They really came out swinging. And last year, our Valorant team took second overall at the PEC LAN, but our Overwatch team definitely was not in the top four even. And the fact that we've kind of come out swinging and had consistent success throughout the fall semester has been amazing. And our other teams aren't slouches either. And while their records might not be as good as they're normally indicated in the PEC right now, they've had a lot of in-person competitions that they've been successful at, and others as well. So it's a busy semester, but it's been a very successful one, and we're really excited to see what happens next semester.
Are there any particular rivalries you and the students are excited to challenge? Any storylines you want to grow?
No. Oh, yes. I think especially for our conference, Michigan State in particular holds a specific area, which is hilarious because I grew up in Western Michigan. My parents are both Michigan State alums, and now I have to hate, something I've been rooting for forever at times. But it's good fun. Michigan State knocked us out of the grand finals last year in Valorant, and so the Valorant team, they've had some great wins over them recently in LAN play, but also in PEC play. So I feel like they've finally gotten it, but it's something that every team, when I swear, I don't know how it's happened, but Michigan State's been a big one. That's way you know you're doing something right. You got to have a few enemies. You don't have any enemies, you're not doing much with your life, I've been told. So
how do you balance the levels between competition and education within the program?
Now, that's a great question. And I know for us, it's like we primarily are focusing on that experience on the community aspect of it. I often like to talk to my students, say we have not yet begun the fight, in the sense of there's a lot of work we can do. It's one of the things where I'm a competitive person at heart, but one of the most important things about competition is knowing where and when to compete, when to fight. And so we've done a great job with what we have and with a lot of extremely dedicated and passionate students to be successful. And so the thing we always say is for their students first, of course. And the second part of that is this a foundation we want to build on? Because there have been plenty of times of where you can take the short road. You can try to, somebody's almost eligible or something, try to did it that way. No, we're not going to push the reschedule. We're not going to do those reschedules, trying to make sure we have our full 5 roster. We have to accept sometimes that we need to hold ourselves to a higher standard, like trying to keep our default match times or ensuring that we're above reproach for anything. So if something goes wrong, like great example that happened even last year, because of where we were positioned when we were at the LAN, we didn't notice this until we just started our first map against another school. It's like, oh, crud, we can see the broadcast that was happening. And we brought it to the attentions of the refs, right? Like no one else noticed that, but we saw it as like, this is something we can't allow. And we figured out a way, we reset the map and everything else. It's like it's the right thing to do. And that's one of the big things about esports is we're still growing. This is the basement floor. We're not even out of the sub basement yet to building what esports will eventually become in our society. And the last thing you want to do is build a foundation that already has cracks and holes and filled with sand. So that's a key part of what we do whenever we are thinking competitively. We want to win, but we have to win the right way.
If I'm a first year, how do I learn about this program and what opportunities exist for me?
Great question. No, we try to make it as easy as possible and have as many on-ramps. That's one of the things I tell students all the time, especially our players, is that whenever you're on campus, whether it's you're wearing your jersey or you have your water bottle you're using in a class or what have you, you're helping spread awareness for what we're doing and hopefully making people feel like they can reach out and be a part of it. And that's one of the things I think is really important is you don't always know what's going to make somebody suddenly the light bulb turn on that, oh, hey, this is a thing and I can be a part of it. And so you have to really sow as many seeds as possible to give them those opportunities. And so one of the things that freshmen and such can do on campus is we try to be at every one of the big involvement fairs, which is essentially our student organization fairs. We purposely table, so be looking out for us around campus and such. The other thing is on our website, we actually have a section that kind of goes through all the basics of the types of things, from intramurals to our competitive teams to what's just happening in the facility, right? And that's really the way we really approach it, of where it doesn't matter what skill level you're at, whether you want the highest level of competition or you're just looking for a place for you and your 2 roommates to go have some fun on a Friday night, right? We really emphasize those different elements. And so we have different ways for people to sign up for broadcasting. And we make it so they can just drop into training on a regular basis, that there's no commitment and such. We have a Discord, of course, that we highly encourage everyone to join, that's on campus, that has everything from notifications about broadcasts to upcoming events or what have you, right? And those are just a few of the different ways we really do attempt to create an environment where anyone can come in. But, we're always looking for more. And every semester we try some other new zany way trying to get the word out.
What kind of students succeed within the ecosystem?
A lot of different individuals. So we have our individuals that I'd say are like specialists, that are particularly good at 1 or 2 things, that have really been a part of it and they make their home. Charlie is our broadcast manager, has done an amazing job over the past few years, really leading and developing that. I mentioned that replay system before. That's something Charlie worked out on his own. We have students that are kind of like, I would say not jack of all trades, but community builders that really want to make experiences for others. Jack, one of our community managers and such, came up with the TCG night, along with a couple of other students as well in the club that were already essentially doing that. They're just like, why can't we just have this as an event? And then we have, I think, our next one are really our competitive types that love to organize. My team manager for the Smash team, his name is Ian, is a go-getter. This guy makes fight boxes and stuff for Smash players. He has his own small company doing it. He loves TOing events. Like, he is one of those organizers, the person that has a type A personality that wants to make big events and do those types of things. And then we have our students that just want to be there. They want to just be present. And, they'll say a few things. There might be a little bit more reserved. but that doesn't mean they don't have good ideas and want to help out. And we've had plenty of those that over time have, more come out of their shells, but others that haven't, and they just want to be a part of it. And there's a place for everybody in a community like that. You don't always have to be the one going out and making all the big decisions or proposing all the ideas. Sometimes you just want to be there to help out, and you're manning the front desk, or you're answering questions for a patron that's just come in. So I think those are 4 examples of some of the personalities we have, but that's doing disservice to kind of just the panoply of examples that we have in our community.
How are you using your position to better explain esports to the general public?
Oh, yeah. No, and that is really one of my biggest parts of my job. Honestly, I think I'm more of a liaison from the esports community to the greater public, and a communicator in more ways than that, whether it's be I've been on our local NPR affiliate a few times to talk about events that's happened. I talk often with the campus paper about what's happened. Heck, I was on a podcast just a couple of weeks ago. A big part of my job is just talking about what we do, because so many people just don't realize the work that goes into it, the passion, and the larger just support system, and of course careers that come and connect to esports in one way or another. Other things that we often do is we'll have high school groups come in all the time. Sometimes they scrim our team. Sometimes I do a presentation just talking to them about how to get involved or how to start their own clubs if they don't have one yet. We've had middle school students come through as well. I also reach out to other departments all the time. Our institution's huge. We have 65,000 students. We have 22,000-ish staff and faculty. It's massive. And there's so many parts of it that don't even realize we're here, not due to any fault of their own, but it's just there's too much happening, right? And so every week I usually have at least one tour or meeting of where I'm bringing new staff and faculty through the space, and it's telling them about what this is, showing them how their classes might be able to use some of what we're doing, whether that's in terms of internships, whether that's in terms of, a great example. One of my students, who's now a graduate student that works for us as well, is a sociology major. And it's hey, I'm in this class that works specifically with, younger individuals and stuff, a lot of high school graduate age kind of such, that have different mental or physical disabilities. They'd love to, and we try to show them different types of career paths they could have in different areas, and they'd love to come. And it's of course, that's a great idea. Why not? And so we've invited them a couple of times in the last 2 years to come in. And what's great is this is part of a class. And so there are sociologist students learning how best to work with these individuals, and the individuals themselves there getting to experience and learn more about esports and what it is, in addition to, of course, the professor who's now oh, wow, this is this big aspect. I'm very much a believer in, it's not necessarily one big thing or even a few large things that you're doing. It's about every little aspect, right? Kind of that ripple, that throwing a pebble into a pond that makes ripples. And I'm throwing a lot of pebbles and a couple of boulders and trying to make as many as I can.
What are some milestones and future goals you hope to achieve?
We got to celebrate one of those not too long ago. I mentioned earlier the tournament we hosted with other colleges in Ohio, which was great because one, we're trying to build that community, the larger collegiate community in Ohio, and build support so we have more events together and what have you. But the other part of it is I was able to get the 16 schools in their jerseys on the football field, because we're right next to the football field. It was luckily an away weekend, so we could actually get into the soccer, and getting a picture of about 108 and probably more than 125 or so students, coaches, some parents on the field, on the Block O, was probably one of the coolest things I've done. And it's been on a list for a long time. But that kind of brings me to where we're trying to go. I think one of the biggest things is really just showcasing what this community is all about, because it really is kind of hidden under a bushel basket in more ways than one, in the sense of just how prolific it is on not just our campus, but just in the community. Some of the journal studies that are out there now about how many people consider themselves gamers to one degree show that percentile being up to around 85-90% in some of the younger age brackets, and that's male and female, right? It's everybody, right, is inside that aspect. And I think people still haven't fully acknowledge that. And that's a big part of what we do. So part of that is just getting more acknowledgement in the community from schools, from the city, from administrators about it. And that's something that's happening already. Like there are a lot of, like, for example, there are 9 classes that are going to be on the books starting in 2026 that are going to be esports, specifically esports, or game adjacent, like gamification studies concerning healthy gaming aspects. I'm teaching a class on broadcasting. So one of my biggest things is just getting more of these classes out there and really starting to make the student population aware of it and get them some degrees. Like that's inevitably where we hope to be. And there are some projects happening right now around that are not announced yet, so I can't talk about in further detail. But it's just some of those, that's one of those big goals I have. And honestly, one of the reasons I came here, because when I was a professor, that's what I did. I designed multiple classes specifically for curriculum around esports and incorporating that not just into like a standalone degree, which is of course great, but into multiple degrees, because esports is a multidisciplinary activity. It's a hub. It's connected to so many different elements. And so that's probably one of my biggest things, is just trying to get so many different parts of this university to understand there's this huge resource under their noses for research, for academics, for professional development, and of course student engagement and recruitment. And a lot of there are some people already in the administration that understand that and like, but when you have 20,000 staff and faculty, there's a lot of work you got to do, a lot of communicating. What's amazing is that's been worked on here since before 2018, right? I still remember when the first proposal, because this isn't, COVID unfortunately stopped the entire original development of it. And so I'm literally been editing a document that's been around since 2017 that I read in 2018 and borrowed from to write a major at my previous institution. And now I'm come back to write it myself. And it's like, well, this is a very strange timeline.
What's the best way for people to support you? How can people help?
Well, one easy way is to reach out to myself or at the Ohio State Esports program at esports@osu.edu. That ends up going to me regardless. But reaching out is a great one. Another one, though, is just telling other people about it, right? Like I talked about earlier, I'm very much a believer in a single pebble can send a lot of waves out. And we've been very fortunate as a program, and my own experience that holds true. Just telling other people about it, sharing it. It is amazing the amount of people who already are allies. I actually was at one of our satellite campuses early this semester, and they're interested in building an esports facility and starting their own program. And it turned out one of the board members, their son, I want to say, went to Cleveland State University. It's up by Cleveland, of course, on a partial scholarship. And it's like, oh, you already know all this. We're just helping to educate your colleagues and stuff and give them these opportunities. And it's just amazing how many people are already, to use a phrase, have already drunk the Kool-Aid, so to speak, and understand what this is, but they just, at times, they're on islands by themselves. They don't know who else in their office understands this, and it's hard to talk about if you don't have a catalyst. It's not one of those things you can just casually bring the conversation along.
Are there any final words you would like to say as a sign-off?
Yeah, no, I'd like to just a round of thank yous, because there's way too many people that, it takes a village in more ways than one already with the community, but everything from the project that is the Power Esports Conference, from everything we're doing here on campus. A big thank you to Doc Haskell at Boise State, Joey at Syracuse, and Chris Wilski at Michigan State for helping really start the Power Esports Conference. But for my own area and such, the Office of Student Life, and specifically the department I'm in, recreational sports, they've been supportive of this endeavor since the beginning. And it is not easy at any institution, let alone one of the biggest institutions with a huge brand name in the United States, to launch something new, let alone something that still, arguably, since it started back in 2019, does not have a handbook for how it's supposed to be done. That is still very, very new and has barely been around for a decade. That is, in academic time, something that just doesn't happen. But because it has, it just is a testament to the amount of support we have on campus and the students and stuff that really make it. Because at the end of the day, the entirety of the university. It is the students. And the only reason something is supported and such by administration is because they see what it can do. They see the passion of the students. And of course, lastly, that's just to my student staff, to the larger community that we have here. I'm very fortunate to work with amazing colleagues in the recreational sports department that support what this is, even though when I first came here, many of them was like, we have no idea what this is, but we know it's cool. Can you help us figure it out? I was like, yes, of course I can help you, as long as you're open-minded and ready to go. And they have been, because in more ways than one, what recreational sports and even traditional athletics, we're in many ways not copying, but we are changing and following a path they've already tread, but updating it for the times and the medium that we're in. And a lot of the lessons, including how the Power Esports Conference came around and such, came directly from athletics, from recreational sports, and the like. So I could go on for a long time, but I think I've waxed poetically enough. Hey, thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure.